Without further ado, if no one has any questions, I'd like to offer Mr. Bennett the stage for a 90-second opening statement. Gentlemen, you can stand, walk around, sit, whatever you want to do. So 90 seconds to you, Mr. Bennett.
All right, thank you. My name is Aaron Bennett. First and foremost, Trace, thank you for being here. Thank you, NonDoc, Lincoln County Republican Party, thank you for being here as well, and all you voters. My name is Aaron Bennett. I'm running for Lincoln County Sheriff. I've been in law enforcement for over 20 years here in Lincoln County. I live here in Lincoln County and graduated high school from Chandler Public Schools. For the last 5 years, I've been working at the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office as the school resource officer at Chandler Public Schools. I also serve as a school resource officer supervisor over the other county deputies throughout the county at the schools. I sit on the SALT board, which is Seniors and Law Enforcement. Seniors and law enforcement together, which we go to the senior citizen centers and combat any type of fraudulent activity or anything like that, try to educate them on that. I also sit on the Partnership of Wellbeing for Children of Lincoln County. During the last 5 years at Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, I've been mentored by Sheriff Charlie Doherty in budgets and also working jail, being over a jail. I've also been mentored in leadership and witnessed that firsthand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. Yeah, like I said, we've got the timekeeper over here. Just finish your sentence when you reach to it. You don't have to freak out when he holds up that whoa sign. Mr. Garrett, 90 seconds to you, sir, for your opening statement.
Is this working? Yes. I just want to thank the Republican Party for having this event available, and also for NonDoc and Mr. Savage to narrate this thing. It's so much nicer to be able to see so many people at one point than going house to house or different events. I've decided that campaigning has got to be the hardest job interview you will ever do. I know, Charlie, there's some people here that's run for office before. It's definitely not an easy job to do from that standpoint. My name's Kevin Garrett. I've been a Republican, a proud Republican for quite a while. Lived in Lincoln County my entire life. Been a Republican forever. I've got 38 years law enforcement experience. I retired a year ago, June, from the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. Retired after 12 years being a lieutenant. Worked 12 counties out of the Stillwater office, North Central Regional Office. And the things that I want to do is try to bring my experience from investigations to the Sheriff's Office. I want to have deputies that are well-trained, good investigators, and have a relationship with every department and the tribes in this county, so we can increase from having 24 deputies to say 80 law enforcement agencies or agents, employees, deputies, police that are all striving to do the same thing. And the biggest issues that I've seen from looking at statistics and from going around and talking to people is we have a drug issue, we have drug use, drug sales, and we have thefts. They're interrelated. If we can put more emphasis on that, and my goal is to get, does that mean stop, Pua?
You can finish your sentence. Go ahead,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't really recognize that. I want to try to get a program to where we put more emphasis on slowing down the thefts by dealing with the drug sales.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Garrett. Give them both a round of applause for those opening remarks. And if you just swallow that microphone a little bit closer to your mouth, I think they'll be able to hear it a little bit better. In a theater world, that's what they say. Let's get to our first round of questions. It's called Support Your Local Sheriff. Rest in peace, James Garner from my hometown of Norman. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each one of these questions, and we will rotate who answers first. We'll start alphabetically with Mr. Bennett. 1 minute to you. What in your personality and your experience most qualifies you to be sheriff?
Personality. I remain level-headed at all times. I've worked in a school. I've had many deputies throughout the last 5 years tell me I couldn't do your job. It's a job that I look forward to every day. I've said it out on the campaign trail that it's one thing I've never done in the last 5 years is wake up and think, man, I don't want to go to school. Also, being at 43 years old, I believe I can commit long-term to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office in order to continue on what's been built upon the last 14 years through Sheriff Charlie Doherty, and also commit long-term and go from there.
Thank you very much. 60 seconds to you, Mr. Garrett. Same question. What in your personality and your experience most qualifies you to be a Lincoln County Sheriff?
Well, I think the number one thing for my personality, I'm a country boy. I'm from Lincoln County. I raised about 50 mama cows, and we can relate to a lot of the folks that we're going to represent out here with the sheriff's office standpoint, those that live in the county. But of course, we want to help those that live in the city too. I've been a fireman for 33 years over at Stroud. I've refereed football for over 33 years. I'm able to get along with people. The OSBI, the number one thing that we had to deal with was a relationship, being humble to deal with police departments, sheriff's departments, because we didn't have original jurisdiction. We had to be requested to help. Getting confessions, done that so many times. You can't do that if you can't be humble, that you can't talk to somebody, be real with them, to get them to explain to you something horrendous and terrible that they did. So communication is definitely going to be one of the big aspects that's going to be a plus in the experiences and training that we've had.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I got the next question for you, sir. Sheriff Doherty has led the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office since 2010. He's been mentioned a few times. Sounds like folks like him. Tell us something that he's done that you will be sure to continue, right? Try to be specific. Something he's done that you will definitely make sure continues. And then tell us something you might want to change a little bit.
Well, I think one of the things that I've seen that Charlie has done over the years.
You need to put that microphone in your mouth.
There you go. That's better.
We're starting back over. I guess one of the things that I've seen before that Charlie has done that was really well is he had monthly, quarterly police chiefs meetings throughout the county. We need to be working together. We need to be able to go out here and communicate and cross-train and know that everybody, if you have a problem in Craig or you have a problem in Chandler, it's our problem in Lincoln County too. These people, the thieves, they go back and forth. The people that we look at that are suspects. So that's one of the things that I've liked. The other thing, I think we talked about the school resource. I mean, that's something that came about since Charlie was there. And I think that's a good program. I'd like to do more. I'd like to try to get involved in DARE or the LEADS program to help teach children to not get involved in alcohol or drugs. I think that once we've gotten some SROs there, we need to do more. There's always more that we need to do.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bennett, same question to you. What's something that Sheriff Doherty's done that you want to make sure continues, and what's something you might want to do a little different?
Witnessing firsthand the SALT program, Seniors and Law Enforcement Together, that's a program that I'm a part of. We've actually gone in, educated, learned about fraudulent activity through there. It's been a good program. We do that, I believe, twice a month right now. School Resource Officer program's big. We've got 4 deputies within the schools currently. That is something I definitely want to carry on. A couple other programs I would like to see. I would be interested in doing more of an outreach program, coffee with cops, coffee with the sheriff, activities like that where you can talk to the deputies that are working your area face to face, bring them your concerns. Same thing with the sheriff as well. It's one thing to know that the sheriff's in the office, get a hold of them, but I'd like to be face to face, hear those problems, the concerns, the complaints.
Thank you very much. 60 seconds to you first, Mr. Bennett, on this question. Another kind of 2-part question. First, what is the biggest issue facing Lincoln County right now in terms of law enforcement? And then the second part is, what is the biggest misconception people may have about law enforcement?
One of the biggest problems we see in-house right now is staffing. We're short-handed consistently through patrol. We're short-handed in the jail. I do have plans on how we can hire people, keep them, retain them, and then if they want to go on, apply somewhere else, such as Oklahoma City Police Department, Oklahoma Highway Patrol, and better themselves, I'm all for that as well. One misconception I would say, we have 966 square miles, 34,000 people approximately. We don't have a lot of deputies to cover area, and I believe that people just think they never see deputies. I do want to restructure some within the department that I believe would put more deputies on the street.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garrett, same 2-part question to you. What is the biggest issue facing Lincoln County from a law enforcement perspective? And then what is the biggest misconception maybe people have about law enforcement?
I think always, funding training, having professional employees, talking about the deputies. I think it'd be really nice if we were able to make sure that every deputy that carried a gun, that worked for the sheriff's office, was a good investigator. That's going to be one of my biggest goals that I want to try to do when we get in here. I think there's a lot of times that, you know, law enforcement, police, deputies, they kind of get a feeling that everybody out here is kind of our enemy, you know? There's so many bad things that you read about all the time where a policeman gets killed or something like that, you know, that occurs. But we have to be able to realize that with community policing that we need to be available. We need to be able to reach out here to you, and if you have a problem or you have something going on, that we need to respond. We need to have that rapport with the citizens that we represent. And the second question was?
Well, I think that was it, the misconception. I think you, if I'm not mistaken, I think you got both of them.
Well, I was trying to.
You got, okay, that sounds good. Do me a favor, pretend like that microphone smells good, and then just get it right up there to your mouth. I think you'll be able to focus. There you go. Next question, the last question of round one to you, Mr. Garrett. Tell us about a specific incident or a call where your judgment as a law enforcement officer was tested.
Well, pretty much at the OSBI, if we had a homicide, we got to have a call, we're going somewhere. And the things that I always had to think about, number one, are we going to need a search warrant? Is it in a public spot? Is it something that we don't need a search warrant? Can we get consent? So you have to constantly, in law enforcement, always be thinking ahead. What do you need to do? And you have a lot of one-on-one stuff that you do, dealing with crime scene things. How to interview people, you know, Miranda. There's a lot of things that you constantly have to be dealing with when you're doing this particular job because you want to do it the right way. You never want to have any evidence that gets kicked out that could bring your case. You know, if you obtained a gun that was involved in a homicide and you end up not getting to keep it for testimony because you didn't get it the correct way, that's a travesty. We have to do better, we have to be well trained, and we have to care. That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that we can have a department that's professional. You're going to want to see us because we're going to be very helpful, and the same thing with the other departments that we want to work with.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. Same question to you. Tell us a specific incident or a call that tested your judgment.
I'm trying to think of one. Honestly, I think judgment is tested every day within law enforcement, deputies, officers. You're making split-second decisions that can last a lifetime for you, for other people. With that, I think a well-trained deputy that we need to offer in-house, and if we need to send them out for training, is very important in this day and age.
Thank you very much. That's the end of round one. Give them all a round of applause for round one. This is a good crowd. This is a good crowd. Thank you so much. We're going to move to round two. It's called Elections and Issues, and I've got 3 questions here, and it's going to focus on a little bit of some things facing Lincoln County voters in particular. We're going to have 90-second answers on this round for all 3 of these questions, and I'm going to kick this one off with a toss-up first, meaning whoever of you wants to go first for 90 seconds can. So we'll see who wants to answer it first. Across America, the controversial practice of civil asset forfeiture has received scrutiny because it allows those detained on suspicion of a crime sometimes to have their property, maybe cash or a vehicle or something like that, taken by law enforcement officers, even if they're not ultimately charged, tried, and convicted of a crime in a court of law. What are your thoughts on civil asset forfeiture, and how should Lincoln County voters expect you to use it? Never? Sometimes? Frequently? 90 seconds to either of you. Go ahead.
I think anytime you're dealing with property or people's rights, such as freedom, you have to look at everything particular, look at every case different. Regardless if you go to multiple calls that are the same call, there's going to be a different outcome every single time. Again, I would say every call is different. So therefore, I wouldn't necessarily say, yeah, to expect that, or no, don't expect that at all.
Do you have no problem maybe doing that in certain instances?
Obviously, I mean, being conservative, having conservative values, you hear a lot about the possible confiscation of guns. So yes, I mean, we live in a very red state, red area, and the idea of seizing somebody's property for whatever reason, It just does not sound appealing to me.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garrett, 90 seconds to you, same question. How might Lincoln County voters expect you to use civil asset forfeiture?
Well, when you ask that question, what comes to mind with me is number one, anytime you're dealing with assets or something that you're going to seize and you're going to sell off, there's statute, there's laws that you got to follow. And most of the time when you see something like that that's going to occur, it's normally dealing with drugs, cash related to drug sales. And in this case, I think one we should think about, what about if it's a marijuana grow? I mean, obviously, if there's 100 in this county, if they're doing everything legal, there's not much we're going to be able to do. But if they're not doing things legal, then I think there's going to be a time where we're going to be seeing the civil asset part of it is going to kick in. If it's cash, if it's with the property, or anything else that they have that's tangible that you're going to be able to sell. Now, as far as going in and taking people's property and something, without any reason, no, I wouldn't be for that. Number one, the law doesn't allow that. So if the law doesn't allow that, that's obviously something that as a sheriff that we're going to need to maintain the integrity part in dealing with your district attorney, U.S. attorney, the AG's office on dealing with any issue on something that's going to be possibly forfeited.
Well, and I asked him a follow-up, and I want to make clear the law does allow it. It's not extremely simple. It's not A and B like that, but you don't have to be convicted of a crime. You don't have to be charged of a crime to have law enforcement take your car and say, well, the preponderance of evidence seems like you're probably, why do you have $10,000 driving on the road? I mean, that does happen, and it happens all over the country. And some people think there's Fourth Amendment concerns, so that's kind of why I'm asking about it.
Well, the thing of it with law enforcement, what we do is investigate. We'll do the investigation, you turn it over to the district attorney. They're going to be the agency that's going to make that decision if we're going to forfeit something or not. It doesn't necessarily going to come from the law enforcement entity of it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Mr. Garrett, next question goes to you first, and again, we're going to go 90 seconds here on this. In 2021, Lincoln County voters were asked to finance $13.5 million for the construction of a new jail. The election failed with 78% opposition. But 3 years later, the jail's getting a little older. My understanding is maybe there's some bed capacity being added. I was curious, do you believe the current jail can meet the county's needs for the next 4 years of what would be a term for the next 8 years if you have 2 terms? What do you think about the current state of the jail and whether there might need to be another one?
Well, the bad part of it is I don't work for the sheriff's office, so I haven't gone around inspecting the jail. But what I know is that when the election came up, you said it was 2021?
I believe so, sir, yes.
Okay, I voted no for it. There's a couple of reasons that I voted no for it. Number one is everything that I saw that they're talking about the problems at the jail was cosmetic. I own property just like you do. I don't want to pay any more taxes on anything if we don't need it. So unless I'm convinced from being there and the day-to-day part of it that it needs to be replaced, then I'm not going to vote for a new jail. And the other thing is that if you look at a lot of places, Kate County, for example, their county jail, you go to Enid, Garfield County, even in Creek County, Ofusky County, everyone that's building a new jail today, they don't want to put it in town. And there's a lot of opposition here in Chandler, I believe, the last time that people don't want a jail in their backyard. I totally respect that and understand that. I think we could find some property that we would be able to do that if it comes to the time that we had that need to build a jail. So I want to try to work with our communities. I want to make sure that we don't do anything that you don't want, especially when it comes to the jail. Did the doors work? At the OSBI, we've investigated a lot of issues at jails. People's gotten killed. People have escaped. Does it work? Did the doors lock? Does the camera systems work? I mean, there's a lot of things that, what are the issues? When it's not safe, I remember Logan County, their jail was terrible before they built the new one. People were escaping all the time. I don't think that any of us want to have that environment where we have a facility that is so lapidated that people are going to be out, escaping.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. 90 seconds to you, same question. Do you believe the current jail can meet the needs for the next 4 years, the next 8 years? What's your position on that?
Well, obviously the voters turned down the new jail, and I completely understand. It was a vote to the people, and the people spoke clearly on it. Currently, the jail remodel that is going through the process right now is post-COVID ARPA funds that will pay for the new jail. We will not have to add any staff or anything like that to the new jail to pay more in that. The jail employs roughly about 10 people. One problem we do have at the jail is being fully staffed. The problem I've seen with that as well, it ends up costing more money when we're paying time and a half to jailers to cover shifts. I do have a plan to put that in place where we can build on that, try to be fully staffed in the jail, which will also bleed over to patrol.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garrett, no, actually, Mr. Bennett, we'll go to you, so sorry about that. 90 seconds again. On that same ballot back in 2021, voters rejected a property tax increase that would have created, I think they call it a 522 ambulance district, and that would have been for Lincoln County. And my understanding is that a similar proposal will be on a ballot in the future here this year. And I was curious where you stand on that ambulance the district proposal and what your thoughts are.
My thoughts are, obviously, if you live 10 miles north of town, you need an ambulance. If you're calling 911 for an ambulance, you need it 5 minutes ago. You don't need it 20 minutes. With as much area as the ambulances cover out of district in Chandler, Wellston, Stroud, Craig, other areas like that, REACT comes in. It is a problem that we've seen in the past where we've had ambulance out of district and then you have a call in town and you have to call ambulances from Stillwater, Craig, wherever. So it is a problem that does need to be fixed. We do need more ambulances in the area.
So you think you'd probably be a yes on that?
To be honest, I haven't really paid attention or focused much on it, just based off my campaign and working on that. I do feel like we do need more ambulances.
Okay, I'll take that as a leaning yes. All right, Mr. Garrett, same question to you. Thoughts on the 522 ambulance district proposal? Where are you? Yes, no?
Was that 5.2% on taxes, property?
I can't remember what the ad, I think it was 3 mills, if I'm not mistaken. And my ability to explain millage is not impressive, but go ahead.
522 is the statute.
Right, correct. I just mean yeah. 522 is what they call it. It's like called a 522 district.
But it would be a village levy.
Yeah, it's property tax funded.
Okay, well, as a property owner, and I know a lot of people out here are, I want to be able to pay for something that's fair to everybody. If it's for example, being on the fire department in Stroud for 33 years, we have an issue over there. Most of the time, there's a fly attacker. Most of the time that you have an ambulance call, the fire department's, or the ambulance is gone. They're transporting somebody somewhere else. We all know that, within an hour, if you really need an ambulance, there's that golden hour, you need help. It's a big issue. Now, Creek County has a countywide ambulance. Lincoln County needs an ambulance service that's dependable. Everybody expects that. Everybody that drives up and down the interstate, when they have a wreck out on the turnpike, we all have some kind of a interesting vision that whenever we drive anywhere across the country, what do we do if we have a wreck? We just assume it's going to be taken care of. And that really drains the resources here also, is when you're having things out there on the turnpike, those kind of wrecks, the transport stuff. We need it. Is there a better way of raising that money other than on your property taxes? I'm all ears. I know we have a couple of county commissioners that are here, and I'm sure this is some issues they've talked about. I know Stroud, for example, we pay $10 on our utility bill. So if you have an electric meter, they charge you $10. Is there a way to do something like that out here in the county that's more fair, where everybody helps to fund it, That's going to be the way that I would like to see if we're going to fund that. But there again, being the sheriff, I don't really think I've got a platform that's really going to control that. It's going to be more of a vote for the people, or the county commissioners going to make that decision. But that's my thought process on it.
Right, and I think it would be a vote of the people. So are you, where are you? Leaning yay, leaning no? Where do you think you are on that issue?
I'm not leaning for 5% property taxes.
4%? Anyway,
I'm saying that whatever is the most fairest way to raise that money for everybody that is in the county, that's the way I'm going to roll with that.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Is that an okay answer?
Hey, listen, it's you guys' show. I'm just asking the questions on behalf of the public. So thank you so much. Give them a round of applause for round 2. Something tells me when I edit our intern story about this, I'm going to have to go look up all the details on the ad valorem. Third and final round here, real quick. We're going to title it The Political Landscape, and you'll have 90 seconds to answer questions that are tailored to your two campaigns, but I've got a toss-up at the beginning here again, and this is 90 seconds, whoever wants to go first. You're facing off in the Republican primary, Republican runoff, August 27th, and there will be no general election for Lincoln County Sheriff, which means that of about the Democrats and Libertarians and Independents, about 35% of the registered voters won't really get a vote in who is the next sheriff. Does that concern you? Do you believe sheriff elections should continue to be partisan, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, all that? Or do you have any thoughts of should they not be partisan? Either of you.
Well, I think that question is pretty easy to answer. I think it should be just like voting for judges. It shouldn't make a difference if I'm a Republican or a Democrat. I just happen to be a Republican. It would be nice that everybody could vote for who's going to represent them as the sheriff. But in this situation, that's not going to happen. That's why everyone's going to have to depend on us Republicans to make the right decision, put the right person in each of the offices that are coming up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. Same question to you. Thoughts on should it be a partisan election or not?
Yes, I believe Paula said a while ago, the landscape of Lincoln County 20 years ago, 30 years ago were all Democrats. I do believe sheriff's position should be nonpartisan. I think just as for a perfect example, like you said, we have a good chunk of the population that doesn't have a say-so. So yes, I do believe it should be nonpartisan.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garrett, I've got the next question for you, and like I said, this is the political landscape. You worked for many years at the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, and near the end of your time there, you investigated a high-profile case in Wellston, and it resulted in felony charges against a former substitute teacher accused of sexual misconduct with a student. Recently, the minor's mother posted on Facebook some criticism about your handling of the case. She said there was a conversation at Atwood. She said that you didn't believe her son. She said they filed a complaint with the OSBI, which triggered an internal investigation, your retirement. It's a delicate situation. I hate to ask the question, but people want to know. It's out there, and I didn't see your response in her comments or anything. So I think folks want to know right now, did that OSBI complaint and inquiry, spur your retirement? And what is your response to a Facebook post like that?
Well, my response to the Facebook post like that is everyone is innocent until they're proven guilty. Facebook is not the place where you drag people into victims, suspects, etc. on something like that. It hasn't gone to court yet. That's the ugliness about that deal. Now, when people say you don't do a good job on an investigation, I would like to say that any time that you work a case and you get 5 felony charges on someone that's made it through the preliminary hearing, it's going to go to trial, I don't know what we can complain about. Sometimes we have personality issues that everybody doesn't like somebody the way they do something per se. But when you do an investigation, you have to be unbiased. No matter who the victim is, who your suspect is, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm trying to find the truth. You're constantly always wanting to know what is the truth.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bennett, 30 seconds. You want to say anything on that? All right, then I'll turn to you. When it became clear I had to ask Mr. Garrett a tough question about his record, I thought I needed to ask you a pretty blunt question too. And so the main concern I've heard about your candidacy is that your work as a school resource officer provides a somewhat limited experience in the scope of law enforcement, and particularly when it comes to managing a large agency. And I think both of you gentlemen talked about trying to grow. How do you respond to people who say that Mr. Garrett has more law enforcement experience while you might have a steep learning curve taking over that office?
First and foremost, I'll be the first one to say I don't know everything. I am in law enforcement for the last 21 years. I've been a dispatcher. I've been a dispatch supervisor. I've been a patrol officer, patrol supervisor, canine handler. I have been an investigator. Most recently, school resource officer supervisor. Again, for the last 5 years, I've been mentored by Sheriff Charlie Doherty. I feel at my age, I know I've taken heat from that, my age, and seems to be inexperience. I do feel 21 years in law enforcement in Lincoln County is experience. What I will say again to that, though, at 43, I can commit long-term. It's a 4-year term. I feel with the voters' approval, I can serve 20 years if possible, if the voters approve of that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garrett, 30 seconds. Anything you want to say? I offered him. I don't want to not offer you.
Well, the thing I would say about that is that we have term limits in Oklahoma. Mr. Wallace has one more term of 2 years. He's trying to fill out 12 years. I think that tells us that the people in Oklahoma do not want someone to be in public office forever. I want to be in public office as long as I can do a good job. I'm not complacent. I'm constantly hungry, wanting to do the right thing, be honest, and stand up and fight for you every day. As long as I'm wanting to do that, I will be there as long as I can.
15 seconds back to you, sir.
Lincoln County is growing. We've got 34,000 people. We're expanding. Neighborhoods are going in Wellston, neighborhoods going in Chandler, expansion of the Turner Turnpike. We're going to see a population spike very soon. I do feel like, Sheriff Charlie Doherty spent 14 years as a sheriff. I don't think anyone would say that he's done a bad job or anything like that. Has he been perfect? No. But then again, everyone can sit back and think of things that they would do different.
15 seconds. Nope, you good?
I'm always wanting to talk. Any chance we get to talk and proceed with me getting elected as the sheriff of this county to represent you, I'll talk all day long.
Well, now you used up 7 seconds, so now you only got 8 left.
Basically, I believe that we need somebody that cares. And I'm that person who really cares, that wants to do a really good job for representing you, working with the other departments in this county, nonstop.
Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. We're going to go to our closing statements. We've got 90-second closing statements. We're not going to be, if you need an extra 10 seconds, feel free, but we're going to same order as before. Mr. Bennett, 90 seconds, closing it out to you, sir.
As sheriff, I do have a 90-day plan. 90 days, I want to transition to the sheriff from the current administration. I also have a goal to place in a property crimes investigator position as a full-time position that is only worked towards property crimes. Lincoln County has been carried off for way too long, and that is something that needs to change. 1-year plan, I would like to see a full staff in the jail and in deputies. My plan at that, I feel school resource officers, they're right there with the youth daily. With the youth, they can start talking to them and more or less like a military recruiter, start pulling them in to come apply with us, whether down in the jail and then eventually become full-time deputies, put them through the cleat. The other thing with that, if they want to further the career, like I had mentioned, I'm all for that, and I'd be willing to write them an endorsement letter, whatever they need to help better themselves. The runoff is later this month. I would appreciate your support.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Garrett, 90 seconds to close it out to you, sir.
Well, one plus we have is the legislature's just passed a bill that's going to give more money for deputies. So instead of $38,000 a year, we're going to be able to do $50,000 a year. I think we can hire good people. I also think that when we hire people, we have to do a background check on folks. We have to be thorough. We need to make sure we hire the right person. We do not want to hire a policeman that had an issue somewhere else that charges should have been filed on. They didn't get his plea card. He comes to work for us. We don't want drama. I don't want drama. I want ethics in our employee handbook where we don't have to worry about deputies going out here and chasing after married women. Unfortunately, I had a complaint at one of the meetings we talked to that was an issue. We need to be smart. We need to hire good people. We need to train them. We need to get the mindset that they want to go out here and have fun and do our job, and I plan on working with them. I plan on going out as much as I can. I know during the day we'll have things going on, but training's going to be important. Leadership's going to be important, and you have to care. And we have to have that relationship with the other departments in the county because that brings our numbers up. That means we need to be on the same page, trying to solve the same problems that we all have. Jurisdictional issues in the city, in the county. We have to be a team. We can't give up. We have to keep fighting for justice.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, shake hands. Thank you. Give them a round of applause. Appreciate your time. Flip off those microphones. Thank you so much. I know. We'll figure it out. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Madam Chairwoman, do you want to take a 5-minute break, or do you want us just to roll right into this next conversation? Let's keep going. Mr. Representative Kevin Wallace, and I'd like you to come up here and join the stage. And then if I did not see Mr. Shaw, does anybody see him? Is he out in the parking lot? Okay, I don't reckon he is. Take one of here. Take that one.